Continuing on where we left off in the Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar saga. The last match, of course, was at Unforgiven 2002. The title was on the line between Brock and Taker, but the match ended in a no contest. Basically, the referee called for a no contest. It wasn't really a disqualification, just both men were just fighting, not listening to the referee. The referee ended up getting squashed into the corner, and the referee threw the match out, which the fans were visibly very upset. You could hear them booing and going bananas that night, but SmackDown decided to push this until No Mercy in 2002, basically seeing how, Undertaker and Brock Lesnar, two of these big guys, needed to be confined to the ring for their match. So, they decided to go with the Hell in the Cell stipulation for No Mercy 2002. This was a match that Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman wanted no part of against The Undertaker. They would go to the lengths of basically Brock Lesnar breaking Undertaker's hand via a propane tank leading up to the match, and from then on, basically because Undertaker had to have his hand put into a cast, Paul Heyman was trying to get the powers to be to make the match thrown out, or at least take Undertaker out of the match, saying how basically he was not able to bring a weapon into the Hell in the Cell. Basically, they looked it over and they decided that Undertaker was only in the cast because of Brock Lesnar, so Undertaker should be allowed to use the cast inside Hell in the Cell, seeing how it is a cast on his hand, but the hand is broken and there's nothing else you can really do. Brock would explode from this and start another brawl with Taker, and then the SmackDown leading up to No Mercy 2002, Brock Lesnar broke Undertaker's hand yet once again. This match starts at No Mercy 2002. I used the WWE search feature on the WWE network. It starts right as both men are getting into the Hell in the Cell. It's the very end of Brock's intro. Very good to be able to just press a button and the match come up. I would like it basically, if you went to the feature of where the pay-per-view is, and instead of clicking start from the beginning, have the matches knocked out on there, because honestly, when I went to go find this match on there, also, you can start this match at the finish of the match, and why would you want to see the finish of the match without seeing the finish? It makes no sense to me. So I would like to see those little channel markers kicked up on the WWE Network sooner than later. When you get into the Hell in the Cell, easily you can tell the Taker has a huge cast on his hand. They make reference to Paul Heyman being on the outside this time, not being able to interfere into the match. With the cell surrounding the ring, Heyman is able to be out there yelling his instructions, but not able to cause any distractions for the Undertaker. The match starts with both guys going at each other. Brock takes the advantage in the match, but Brock takes it to the outside. He needs a breather, and you can visibly see that Brock wants out of the Hell in the Cell. I don't know if he's just claustrophobic or does not want to be confined, but Brock is trying to find a way out of the cell. Very early in the match, Undertaker uses the Hell in the Cell to his advantage, busting Brock Lesnar open. Brock is also using Undertaker is also using his cast on Brock's head to expose the wound even more. I said this in the last video, Brock Lesnar's never been that great of a bleeder inside WWE, so the blood is not spectacular from Brock, but you do visibly see throughout the match that he does have a busted up forehead throughout the whole deal. And I learned in this match that pinfalls are anywhere inside of the cell, as Taker goes for a pinfall on the outside of the ring. I don't believe you can do that inside the Hell in the Cell anymore. Brock beats up Taker so bad that no, I apologize. I screwed my notes up right here. During this match, Brock is being beat up on the outside of the cell. He's being beat up so bad that Paul Heyman is selling it. And then at one point, Heyman gets too close to the action where Undertaker grabs his tie, pulls him into the Hell in the Cell, and is grating his forehead against the Hell in the Cell via his tie. Heyman gets busted open. This big time fight. I mean, this is just brawling action at its finest. Brock fights back and finds a way to get back into the match. He hits a combo by picking up Taker, ramming him into the steel post, and then taking him right back to the steel of the Hell in a Cell, right back to the post again. You know, it's fighting. I mean, it is big time fight from both of these guys in there. At one point, they take Paul Heyman's belt and they wrap it around the cast of Undertaker. They're hanging the cast up. Paul Heyman is yelling at Undertaker, "You're gonna die now!" He's really putting the beat to him. Basically, Brock goes and grabs a chair from underneath the ring. Brock is taking a chair to the cast. Then from there, Brock rips the cast off. And if you can remember the Hulk Hogan match against Brock Lesnar in 2002, Brock would take Hulk's blood and rub it on his chest to signify that he killed Hulkamania. Brock takes the cast. He tries to rip it up, and as he rips it up, he takes the cast and he rubs it on his chest. Maybe that's just showing victory that he was able to rip the cast off of Undertaker's hand. Once the cast is ripped off, Brock takes the style of his match. He's going after the hand. I've never seen anybody punch somebody else's hand, but Brock is doing it in this match. Taker takes the advantage after making a comeback. Very visibly, you can see Paul Heyman really start to worry on the outside. He's yelling at him, "Brock, you're losing! The title! Brock, get in the match! You're losing!" Basically, there's lots of fighting in here to highlight. You know, Brock hits Undertaker with the steps, honestly, as hard as I've ever seen anybody take steps to the face. Brock ends up hitting him twice. Taker is taking the fight. You know, basically, he wants to go after Brock's hands, where Taker is stomping on Brock's hands. Basically, Taker ends up getting busted open by Brock, and this is where a lot of the blood comes from. Taker bleeds huge in this match. Blood going everywhere. There's this point where Taker and Brock are fighting inside of the ring, and the cameraman that's inside of the cell shooting the action has blood on the camera lens, which makes blood on my TV screen, and there's nothing you can do to make it go away. Taker goes for the old school inside of the cell, and at this point it's countered by Brock Lesnar, who turns it into an arm drag, where basically he just grabs Taker's arm and whips him across the ring. It looks like Taker honestly jumped off of the top rope. There's an F5 counter, which turned into a chokeslam by Undertaker. Then the tombstone is countered, and that's turned into an F5. Taker is bleeding so much that honestly, when he's making his counters, it's a long time for him to get back into the match. He's just showing that he's just beat down and he's worn out too much. Once Brock hits the F5 off of the tombstone, he gets the 1, 2, 3. Brock immediately wants out of the cell. He grabs his championship, poses with it for maybe a half a second at the most outside of the ring, and then he climbs up to the top of the Hell in the Cell, where he stands up there. We've heard from various interviews and other things that Vince McMahon instructed Brock Lesnar to get on top of the cell once the match was over. And then once you got up there, he wanted to see him act like King Kong, being the biggest, baddest fighter that there was in the world, just staking claim to your ring. You just beat Taker in his yard, and there's nothing you can do about that. From there, you would go to SmackDown. Taker would come out and say that he respects Brock after the fight that they had at Hell in the Cell. This brings out Big Show, the new #1 contender, to go after Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar ends up having to take the title into Survivor Series, where Big Show beats him because Paul Heyman turns on him, and they want to turn Brock Lesnar babyface. Probably one of the biggest mistakes that Vince McMahon ever made in WWE, but that was No Mercy 2002. Undertaker and Brock wouldn't have another match for another year until No Mercy 2003. So that is where the saga continues from here. Move on to the next match.